So do y'all want to review Black Widow for the show this week, or would y'all rather just play Stardew Valley or be on TikTok or whatever? Okay, cool. Well, thanks for listening.
Great intro, Dad.
Are we doing it or not?
Yes, we're doing
Then
it.
let's get the conversation started. Hello and welcome to LexiCon. It is Maddie along with...
Lexi.
Dawn.
What?
Dawn. Dawn.
Nobody knows what happened with that.
Is that how you're going to fill the time? You said you don't have much to say about the movie, so you're going to make stupid noises the whole time?
Hey, whatever works.
Are you a seal? Here's a ball. Bounce on your nose, boy.
What is happening?
I only know it was a seal noise. Seal would have like...
Anyway, Black Widow exists.
What?
Anyway, Black Widow exists.
Black Widow, yes. We finally got, after almost 2 years, we got a new Marvel movie.
Took a bit, but yeah.
Last Marvel movie we had, period, was Spider-Man: Far From Home in
Yeah.
July 2019.
Yeah.
Black Widow was, of course, supposed to be in theaters May 2020, but got pushed back due to the pandemic. And
Multiple times.
in the meantime, we've gotten several Marvel series, one of which
have been great.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, I would argue, is basically just a 6-hour-long movie.
It pretty much is.
Pretty much.
But this is our first actual Marvel release in almost 2 years, and I was excited for it.
Very much.
And we're going to do a spoiler-free section to begin with, and then we'll get into spoilers later on. So if you just want to hear our take on the movie without any spoilers, hang out with us and we'll let you know when we get into spoilers, and we'll have notes in the description as well for when
Yes.
spoilers begin. I do want to preface by saying we watched the movie on Disney Plus.
Yep.
We didn't go out to a theater. I know some people have a problem with paying for the movie on top of paying for Disney Plus, but I really don't have any issue with it because
Same.
in paying for Disney Plus, you're paying for their streaming service and all the content it provides, and it's
Yeah.
just a bonus. It's not like you have to pay a fee just to be able to pay for the movie.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, some people could frame it that way, but even if you're not a Disney Plus subscriber and you pay for Disney Plus just so you get this movie, you get access to all the Disney Plus entertainment. So,
Yeah.
and we're, subscribed to Disney Plus almost from the beginning, so
Plus, you're paying $30, but then you have just access to the movie, correct?
yeah, you get as long as you're a Disney Plus subscriber, you have access to the movie. So it's sort of like just being able to buy the DVD on opening day.
Exactly.
And I mean, watching at home comes with the advantages, of course, right now, not having to deal with crowds with the pandemic still going on. But also, you can pause the movie, rewind the movie.
Yeah.
You can throw on captions if you want to.
Yep.
You got your own selection of food, not just the overpriced stuff at the movie theater. And while the popcorn home maybe not quite as good as the movie theater
There's
selection.
ways to improve it.
Well, also, I mean, it's worth the trade-off to me. And I understand if you're like a single person or maybe just a couple or something going to see the movie, you're going to pay $8 or $10 or $12 a ticket, whatever it may be. But we're a family of 5. We're going to easily hit almost $30 just in tickets.
Yep.
So it's not
Good deal.
really any difference for us. And there's, no having to hustle out to get out in time for the showtime. We're not spending gas, dealing with traffic, again, dealing with the pandemic or just
Yeah.
annoying crowds in general.
I saw a friend of a friend went to the theater, like opening day or next day after or something. Watched the movie 5 times, and I'm just sitting here like, imagine the money you could have saved if you just bought it on Disney Plus. So.
I know, right? But then again, if it's one person, I mean, if you're paying $8, I mean, yeah, even $8 a ticket, which is one of the lower ticket prices I can think of, that's like $40.
Yeah.
And of course, the Disney Plus model is slightly different from the HBO Max model.
Yeah.
Of course, with HBO Max, the subscription service itself is twice as much as Disney Plus,
Yep.
and they're only presenting the movies for 30 days
Yeah.
from their theatrical release.
So they've got a limited thing.
But I'm fine with that too. I enjoy the opportunity to be able to watch these movies at home, especially in the current climate. And I think,
Same.
in the future there may be a paradigm shift where at-home entertainment is king and the theater is really just a niche
Yeah.
form of entertainment.
Numerous theaters, at least around us, had to shut down over the last.
But
bit.
even in the present climate, I'm happy to be able to watch these movies at home, and I hope it continues at least for a while.
Same.
I'll gladly pay the extra $30 as long as I've got it. If I don't have the extra $30, I wouldn't have been able to afford to go see it in the theater anyway. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
all right. But having said all that, let's get into Black Widow.
Black Widow.
Of course, I don't think it's any sort of spoiler to say this is not necessarily a prequel, but it's not at the current spot in the Marvel.
Exactly.
It's not running concurrent with all the TV shows.
Yeah, it's not
we're
a
seeing.
sequel.
It takes place basically right after Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's between
Um,
Civil War and Infinity War, correct?
It would be between those, yeah. It would be, but you'd also have Ragnarok and Black Panther in there as well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't
was
great.
pretty decent.
I gotta say, actually, to be honest with you, it's one of my least favorite Marvel movies.
Yeah, if I had to
It
rank
would,
them all, it would be low on
It's
my
certainly
list.
above Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I still hold as the absolute worst Marvel movie ever made. The Incredible Hulk notwithstanding, because I've never seen it. But it is probably better than the 2 Iron Man sequels, both of which were just fine. But other than those,
Which I hardly remember.
yeah, other than those, it's probably my least favorite of the bunch. Which is not to say it's a bad movie; it just wasn't great. And some of that could be expectations, because like I say, it's been 2 years since we got a Marvel movie.
Very true.
It would have been,
After watching the shows, it felt like a weak kickoff for the next.
Yeah, it may have
movies
been.
and
I may
whatnot.
have felt differently about it. At least some aspects of it had we seen it in theaters back in May. I think also if it had actually come out right after Civil War, if it had been the next movie,
Yeah.
I think it would have held a lot more weight.
Definitely. But having seen things going forward.
Having said that, too, I have some other issues with the movie in general that I still would have had issues with back then. But I think maybe I would have had a more positive outlook toward it if it had come then. I know.
Yeah.
At least one thing that happens in the movie couldn't have happened if it had come out then, but we'll get into that in the spoiler section. But by and large, I think it would have served the public better, or the movie-going public, the Marvel Cinematic Universe fans better, had it come out, again, had it met its initial release date. And I understand why it didn't. I'm not saying, they screwed up not putting it out.
Yeah.
I mean, they put Hamilton out in July 2020, so I don't see why they couldn't have done this just a couple months later. And it might have had a somewhat better reception, at least in my eyes. But I think, like I say, and it's not just that it's going back in the timeline, because Captain Marvel did that.
Exactly.
But at the same time, Captain Marvel went so far back that it predated everything except for the first Captain America movie.
Because this fell right in between of things we've seen. We've seen what comes after. Some of what comes after it.
We've seen what comes after.
Immediately after.
But again, I liked Captain Marvel a lot. I didn't like this one nearly as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, maybe it's a little bit biased just because Black Widow is not high on my list of characters, but at the same time, I don't.
I like Black Widow a lot. I mean,
I like her.
She's not my
I've got nothing
favorite,
against her.
but she's right there in the group with most of the Marvel superheroes.
Yeah.
And that I hold in high regard and enjoy seeing the roles that they play in the cinematic universe. She wouldn't be top tier, but she might be in that next tier down from.
Yeah, she's kind of in one of just the middle tiers for me.
Yeah, put
It's like,
Hawkeye.
I don't hate you. I don't love you either, though.
It had nothing to do with the character, and I just wasn't blown away by the movie.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but
Yeah.
I thought it was too big
Uh-huh.
and too loud and just too preposterous. And I know we're dealing with comic book storylines. I know in general we're dealing with superheroes, and for all intents and purposes, I guess Black Widow is a superhero, but she's not enhanced at all, and she's not like Tony or Rhodey or Sam. She doesn't have this sort of tech, and she's not like T'Challa,
She's
who's
just a
enhanced
trained
and has
assassin.
tech. Exactly, and so I thought
pretty much a spy movie.
I thought it would be more of a scaled down sort of spy movie, and I figured it would still have outrageous action, sort of like the Jason Bourne movies. But
Which I haven't
I
gotten
just
to see yet.
I just think it was kind of silly, not intentionally silly, but it was over the top in a bad way.
To me, it had its highs and its lows.
To me, it's like, and it's not bad in the same way that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 just didn't try. It's just like, we're just going to be stupid for no good reason, just put out a shitty movie. I think Black Widow tried too hard. I think it should have been scaled back a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought, all the performers were really good. I mean, you can say what you want about the myriad put on Russian accents.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not somebody who's going to judge how valid the accent is, and I'm not somebody who has any reason to take offense to the accent one way or the other. If you do, that's fine. I understand it. But I was fine with them, but I can understand why somebody might not be, because you have so many people from other nationalities portraying Russian folk and doing. The accent sounded fine to me, but what do I know from a Russian accent? I don't really have any Russian friends or family or anybody that I spend a lot of time with.
Exactly.
Maybe some people now are like, "Oh, fuck the Russians. They're our enemies. We don't,
Yeah.
we don't care. We can offend them." But I'm sure, I'm not saying the accents were bad.
Yeah.
I'm saying if somebody thought they were, I'll accept what they say.
Yeah.
It didn't mean anything to me one way. I did find it kind of funny with all the Russian characters in it. It sort of felt like this was like a throwback to the '80s movie when Russians were always the big bad guys in movies. And I also thought too it was sort of like Marvel's G.I. Joe movie. I thought the previews looked like that, and I thought the movie itself sort of played like that. But
Nice to know.
not in a good way, unfortunately. I thought it was going to be cool, and it was fine.
It's good. It just doesn't rank high.
I'd struggle to come down on the movie too hard, but I'd struggle to give it too much praise either.
Exactly. Like, for me, it had a bunch of highs and lows. And obviously, I'm trying to avoid spoilers.
I thought it didn't have a ton. I thought it didn't have a ton of highs, nor did it have a ton of real lows.
Exactly.
It was mostly in the middle. But I do think it could have been better. I think some of the stuff just didn't work well. I think they could have. I don't think they. And the thing is, Marvel usually hits the right balance of comedy and action and drama, and I don't think this movie did it. I thought it was clunky and it didn't work together the way it normally does.
Yeah, I noticed a few moments where I just sat there like, that wasn't really necessary.
And again, maybe I'm being overly critical because it is the first Marvel movie I've seen in 2 years, and it's going to be several months before I get my next one.
And we've just had these amazing series.
It's not like when you're seeing 3 Marvel movies a year, and it's like, okay, I'm just pumped up in a couple months for the next one. We've been waiting so long for this, and it's like, okay.
It's like, okay, it's a start. We're getting back to it.
I don't think it had to be that way because of the character they were dealing with, their story they were telling. I just think it was not done particularly well.
Yeah.
I thought all the performers were really good. Again, accents aside, and I'm not judging the accents one way or the other. I know some people tend to have issues with accents, and I'm fine with them.
As we said,
they are what they are, but by and large, I thought the cast was really good. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's fine as Black Widow. She's the same as she always is. I thought Florence Pugh as her sister was one of the stars of the movie.
Definitely.
And I mean, David Harbour is great as I'm not really spoiling anything. I mean, he's in the movie. I guess we'll get into specifics. I thought he was really good. Rachel Weisz is good.
They were all pretty good.
Yeah, Ray Winstone, who played the villain in it. The main villain.
I apologize. I don't know people by name.
He's great playing a heartless asshole, which is sort of like one of his recurring roles in movies. And
his type.
He's fantastic in that role as always. It's a smaller role in this movie. You don't see him as much, but I thought everybody played their parts well. I just think the story didn't serve them well. I thought, like I say, you expect action. I expect some over-the-top fighting scenes with Black Widow, but there were some action pieces in this movie that I just thought were way over the top. They don't feel out of place in an Avengers movie or a Captain America movie or even an Iron Man movie where you're dealing with advanced tech, but I felt like this should have been scaled back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I also feel like the movie doesn't really know what it wants to be. Is it at its heart, is it about what it really means to be a family, which is something they touch on, or is it a spy thriller, or is it an over-the-top action film? Is it an action comedy? Is it a drama? It doesn't seem to know what it wants to be.
Part of me felt like
it's trying to be all this stuff, and none of it really comes together in the right way.
Part of me felt like it was also kind of figuring out where it's supposed to be. Like, again, avoiding spoilers, but
What do you mean, where it's supposed to be?
Well, clearly the majority of the story takes place in between the things. But it's also a Black Widow movie. And she never got an origin. And it's like,
we knew bits and pieces of her origin.
Yeah, it's just...
And we get bits, and it gets filled in a little bit more in this as well.
Yeah. I did appreciate somewhat.
I mean, we knew it was never going to be a complete origin story.
Well, yeah.
And we did find out a little bit more about Budapest, which has been referenced in multiple Marvel films. Even though I don't think we got a complete overview, we got an overview of what happened in Budapest. We didn't, we got some details here and there, so it got to be filled in a little more. But there's still meat there on the bone if they ever wanted to go back and really tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard Scarlett Johansson never wants to do Black Widow origin, though.
Well, that wouldn't necessarily be an origin.
Yeah.
Maybe her origin with...
Yeah. I just heard that at some point in time she said that she only wants to make movies that are going to go forward and things like that.
But anyway, any other non-spoilery thoughts for the movie?
I don't think so.
Nah.
I think it's hard to really explain how I feel without spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty... It was enjoyable enough. It wasn't a bad movie.
I don't regret
It's one of my least favorite Marvel movies, but even the worst Marvel movies are still pretty good, except for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And even that had good moments.
I was thinking earlier about just all the MCU things, whether or not they're still canon, acknowledged, etc., an actual movie or show, just all of it, if I had to rank it. It definitely wouldn't be the lowest.
No, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was the lowest.
Lower than Inhumans?
Yes.
No.
I'm sitting here like, I don't want to think of Inhumans.
I don't count that as a movie.
Well,
Was Inhumans really that bad, though? I mean, the way they handled it was bad. Was the movie itself really that bad?
It wasn't good.
It wasn't like
It's
bad
tough.
though.
Maybe if I watched
It was pretty
again.
good actually.
It was pretty good, and I really liked
It just sucked that we
Lockjaw.
ended up spending
But
$60
it was also
to go see it in
questionable.
IMAX, saying that was the only way we were going to see it, and then it debuted on TV 2 weeks later, and
Now remember, I
then the
also
series never really
found
went
it
anywhere.
questionable because they were setting up a bunch of Inhuman stuff in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but then Inhumans had absolutely nothing to do with it. And I just sat there like, the fuck?
Didn't it connect tangentially?
Somehow, I don't remember. They didn't stick to it long enough for me to even care. I'm pretty sure Marvel acts like it never happened, so continuing on.
One season.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you, other than the fact that, okay, I really did like the performances in Black Widow. Like I said, Florence Pugh,
Yeah.
David Harbour were really, really good. Scarlett Johansson was, just as good in Black Widow. I mean, she didn't blow me away, but she was just as
She's
fine any
always
other
good.
time she plays Black Widow. Ray Winstone, Rachel Weisz, they're all really good.
Yeah.
But I still think, I don't know, Inhumans might have been a better movie than this.
Oh gosh.
More for the fact that we're dealing with, like I said, we got some really great performances, and we're dealing with at least one character and tangentially other characters that we
Yeah.
already know. Just movie for movie. I maybe the characters and the performers were better in this, and the fact that it's Black Widow and it touches on things we're already familiar with.
Yeah.
Makes it a little more enjoyable, but just
Yeah.
actually, I think Inhumans at least knew what it wanted to be, and stuck to that and did it okay. Inhumans was not bad.
I sit here. Okay, on my list, here's the thing. Very low on that list is Inhumans and Incredible Hulk. In all fairness, I have not seen Incredible Hulk.
You can't. That's got to be.
There's a question mark next to it because
you may watch it.
it's
You may
adjustable.
watch it and be like, "Fuck, I miss."
It's not Mark Ruffalo.
I miss Mark Ruffalo, but it was a really damn good movie. I mean, you don't know.
Mark
I don't know
Ruffalo.
either.
Let's do a commentary on it.
We should see it sometime, but
But continuing on.
we have to disqualify that. From
Next
the
week
conversation.
commentary.
Continuing on
No.
though, because also down there would be the Iron Man sequels. Also with question
Hey,
marks because I
Iron
don't
Man's
really
good.
remember them.
Honestly, the first Iron Man movie isn't even that great. It's great for what it did for the series,
Exactly.
and the post-credit scene with Nick Fury was like, "Oh, that's
I have
awesome!
to agree.
Can't wait to see what we're gonna get." But
They've improved
The movie
since.
itself is good,
Yeah, they've improved.
but it's not as good as the best stuff from Marvel.
Exactly.
I like Iron Man.
But that's the thing. So, like, I have a few that are definitely lower than this. And this is still in a blurry spot. I'm giving it a little time before it gets its permanent spot. But it just falls, like, right there in the middle with a couple of the movies.
I mean, if I were to
you know?
honestly try to rank everything, I'd want to go back and rewatch.
Watch everything?
No, I wouldn't have to rewatch everything.
I'm
'cause
watching
some of them,
everything.
Some of them I've seen enough, and I know how much I love them. You know, Black Panther, Ragnarok, Endgame,
Yes.
the original Avengers, the Infinity War.
I also want to make clear again that when I was ranking all this, I wasn't just talking movies. I was also talking shows and everything. And I'm sorry, but number one is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't care.
But I mean, like even the original Iron Man, I saw it when it first came out on video in
Yes.
like 2008,
Yes.
and I mean I haven't really watched it since then. The Iron Man sequel, you and I watched Iron Man 3 together.
I think I watched
pretty much
Iron
paid
Man
attention. It didn't register that
once
much with me.
since then.
Dylan and I watched Iron Man 2, and I was distracted. I was half paying attention, half doing other stuff.
I think I've seen every Iron Man by this point.
The thing is, see, I went back and I watched the first Iron Man, but that was back in 2013. So
Even like the original Thor and Thor: The Dark World and Winter Soldier, which I hold in very high regard, but I've really only seen it the one time I saw it in theaters.
precisely,
So to really do an accurate ranking, there are definitely
a lot of
at least a
movies you have to
handful I would have to go
rewatch.
back and rewatch. But at the moment, yeah, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is all unless something else comes out that's worse.
Unless we watch
Unless I
Incredible
watch Hulk and it turns out, I don't know, man.
that movie scares me just at this point.
I hate Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It is,
I know,
which is
but
bad
like-
because I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and then Volume 2 is just like, what?
No,
How did the same people who made Volume 1 make this piece of trash?
no, they want to go back. They want to do.
Or how did the same people who made this piece of trash make Volume 1? I mean,
My thing is, they want to go back. They want to do prequels or these movies that fit in between movies, etc. Great. Can we get a new Hulk movie for the MCU, please?
that's another thing too. It's like, why did they even do this Black Widow movie?
Honestly,
I don't know.
Was it a contractual thing where they needed to get Scarlett Johansson off her contract or something?
Maybe.
Did they owe it to her under contract? They feel like, well, we don't have enough female leads, and it's going to be a while before
You know,
Captain Marvel comes
I'm
back
just
out, so
pre-
we just have to. I mean, it just seems weird because without going into too much spoilers, it did not add that much to the lore.
I agree, and there's a couple things I want to say since you were talking about that. One,
I mean, maybe
I
this
have
is more talk for the
Hood.
spoiler section too.
Yeah, I have Hood. I think it was Kevin Feige, but somebody at Marvel has said that Phase 4 and all that is supposed to be a little more female Hood, and maybe that's why they're like, okay, let's finally do something with Black Widow. But also, you brought up the
that's fine.
contract
I wish they'd
thing,
done something better.
and I find that interesting since, not the day of the release, but maybe the day before, a couple days or something, but around the time of the release of this, Kevin Feige said in an interview or whatever that Marvel's going to be moving away from doing multi-film contracts with people. That from now on they're going to try to do it like per project, you know?
Yeah,
Instead of signing them to have to do multiple films.
I want to say if I've heard Mark Ruffalo has like one more movie in his contract or something.
Chris Evans finished his, I know. Because it was what, like 4 movies plus 3 Avengers, or 4 Avengers or whatever.
Something like that.
I know when Loki was impersonating him, that counted on his contract. Because he had to actually film for it, so.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's coming back for something though, isn't he?
I think it's been talked, because there was at least rumor that it was in discussion for him to have a new contract. So he could always be signed for something.
Okay, but anyway, I don't want to keep repeating myself, and I feel like that's what I'm going to be doing. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
For the kind of movie it is, it's fine. It's nothing great.
It's not one of Marvel's highest points, but it's good.
Say, especially coming after such a drought of Marvel movies.
Yeah, it's good because we haven't had anything, but also it feels weak.
But I do question, like, even going back a year ago, I'm not really sure how this movie fit into everything.
Yeah.
And if you're just going to go back and tell a previously untold story, that's fine, but it just felt like they could have told a better story, or told it in a better way at least.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
It was missing something.
Never know how it might play into the story going forward.
Yeah. That's another thing. It's like, we watch and we think of these movies and whatnot, but then later on, we could feel completely different once we see something else. I just find that really interesting. It's like First Avenger. It was fine, and then I got the rest, and I'm just sitting like, holy. Okay.
All right. So does anybody have anything they want to say that's not spoiler related before we jump into the spoilers?
No.
No, I'm ready to dive headfirst.
Okay, so we're putting this up just a couple days after the movie released. Obviously, you don't want to know what happened. We just want to get an idea of the flavor of the movie. We hope we've given that to you. Now we're going to jump into the more complete breakdown of the movie with all the spoilers. I can't say it enough. Spoilers coming right now.
Spoilers.
So please,
Spoilers.
if you don't want to know the
Spoilers.
specific details of what goes on in the movie, check out now. Go back and check out our Captain America commentary from last week, or any of the other,
Milk spoiled.
probably a quarter of our catalog
Spoiled
that's Marvel related.
motherfuckers.
But anyway, now we get into spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoilers!
So who wants to spoil the movie?
Yeah.
Black Widow died!
In a different movie.
It's all good, it's done.
No, she dies in this movie, and it was actually her sister
You want to
in
go right to that?
Endgame.
I mean, are we going right at... Yeah, okay. Well, we mentioned it. The end credit scene, which is like the only...
It's the only thing that moves forward.
The only thing that really
Yeah.
connects to anything going on
It's
now.
up like
is
one
any sort
thing.
of... Yeah.
It's the only thing that moves it forward.
We see Black Widow's sister, Yelena, visiting Black Widow's grave.
What's
Yes.
the dog?
Which she had... Oh, yeah, she did. She drove up in an old pickup truck. Which is interesting because then Val comes into the scene.
Yep.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character, who we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Who may be connected to Hydra or Thunderbolt Ross, or, could be
A
connected
bunch
to
of stuff.
any number of things. Mephisto. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey,
She
we
is
don't know.
Mephisto.
But she shows up there and she mentions that they're in the Midwest.
Yep.
Which I was looking at it's a weird little section. There's like just a series of graves in like not a forest, not a field, just like in the woods. Like there's a grouping of trees, like small trees, and there's a group of tombstones around it.
Yes.
But it's not like a real graveyard. It looks like some family thing. So I wonder, being in the Midwest, and I wonder if this is like the Bartons' property.
Maybe.
I mean, I guess, of course, we found out that for a time, when she was a kid, Natasha and her family, in quotes, lived in Ohio.
Yeah, for like 3 years.
But they didn't really stay there. They didn't really have any roots there. So, and Clint's farm is in like, where's it? Like Missouri,
Yeah.
right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's still Midwest.
Do we know Technically, we don't know
We didn't
that
see what any of the what was on
Black
any of the
Widow's original family.
right.
It's
Although
from-
I do think I think the indication was that she was from Russia originally.
Possibly.
But anyway, I was just curious, like somebody put up the tombstone for her, and somebody chose this location with other tombstones. So I wonder if there's like the Barton family
Yeah.
location, which is interesting because then apparently it turns out that Yelena's now working for Val,
Yep.
and now Val's going to send her to go after Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Which sort of spoils the whole movie for me. It's like, I say, so after all this and the reconciliation between Natasha and Yelena, now Yelena's working for people who would probably be enemies of Natasha.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get into good guys versus bad guys, and I know there's shades of gray, and I don't know who's what, but clearly Val seems to be set up in opposition to the side that Natasha was and would have been on.
Yeah.
So now Yelena's working in opposition to her. She cared enough to visit her sister's grave and feel bad for the fact that she's gone now, but... I mean,
She's going to go after an Avenger.
And again, we don't know.
A potential.
We don't know what who Val's taking orders from, or why Yelena's working for. There's a lot of stuff yet to be hashed out. But
we technically also don't know how Yelena goes about this information.
for being the only thing but just the fact that she's working for Val in general. And I mean, then again, maybe she doesn't know what Val's all about yet, and she thinks it's fine, and she's going to come to she'll have a come to Jesus moment at some point. I don't know, but for being the one thing in the movie that sort of pushed anything forward, it was very disappointing that's what we get. So we get this really cool character, and she has a connection to Natasha, and they have a reconciliation, and it seems like everything's really good between them, and now she's working for the opposite team. I
do find it very interesting, because I know those theories and whatnot that she'd be set up to become a new Black Widow and whatnot.
It's sort of like a big, fuck you to the audience, to me. But
Yeah.
Big
I guess
fuck you to
that's
Hawkeye.
kind of what Kevin Feige likes to do nowadays, right?
I think a lot of people like to say fuck you to Hawkeye, honestly.
But then again, I mean, it doesn't mean
Right.
it doesn't mean she truly is a villain. It doesn't mean she's going to stay a villain. A lot yet to
Yeah.
be seen. It's one quick scene. You can do a lot with those end credit scenes, but you can also sort of, plant a red herring at the same time.
Part of me does wonder what that scene would have felt like had we gotten it when the movie was supposed to come out, instead of Val.
Had we seen the movie, I wouldn't have any idea who Val was. I'm sure that big comic fans would have known. I'm sure once I watched
That's just
more reviews of this
partially.
movie, I'd be like, oh, that's who she could be. She could be Madame Hydra, but
Yeah, that's just partially what I'm wondering. Like,
But still, the fact
How
that
would
she
I
would have been
felt
going, she would have been
making
giving her an assignment
yeah.
to go assassinate Hawkeye. So I
Yeah.
mean, still clearly they're on the opposite side.
also, I just feel bad. Hawkeye sat there fighting Natasha over who should die and what to call it. And I mean, he was clearly close with her and
Because he
whatnot.
did that,
And then
he's gonna
her
be
sister's gonna come after him
Well, her sister's
and
being
blame him.
offered the assignment or told that it doesn't mean she's going to.
Well,
she,
there's
she,
potential.
She didn't
That's
say like,
set
oh yeah, I can't wait to kill Clint Barton. I mean,
Yeah.
no,
This is the first thing.
there was no reaction whatsoever
The,
from her.
the Hawkeye thing.
Yeah, it's right now it is.
It could be setting
very
up for her
seems set
to
up.
maybe go after him or see what it's all about, but then eventually, become the new Black Widow, as
Yeah,
you say. So
there's a lot to see. I just feel bad for
But just
Hawkeye right now.
without having anything more to go on, it was a pretty disappointing.
It's like he was willing to die. He watched his best friend die, and all this, and now he's being painted as the bad guy. It's just like,
well, that was just the way
Hawkeye.
Val spun it. I mean, Val's not having him hunted because Black Widow died because of him.
Yeah.
Supposedly, I mean that's just the way she was spinning it to Yelena.
Yeah,
Obviously,
but that's only the end of the movie. So
we'll get a big spoiler. There's no situation set up where Black Widow and her sister traded places. There's nothing to set up that Black Widow actually survived the Endgame. They actually took the time to make it pretty clear that, yep, Black Widow's dead. She ain't coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, multiverse, so maybe, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
Multiverse of maybe.
I said multiverse, so maybe.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
no,
making a
maybe
joke. But
I guess let's rewind it back. We get to see,
Yes.
as I said, we get to see a little more of Black Widow's backstory.
I actually want, going into that, we see their backstory, and we see that they were in Ohio. I just want to point out that Bruce Banner is from Ohio.
Oh, hi.
He would have been an adult by because he's like the
he might have been
oldest,
working
not
at
including
the SHIELD
Cap.
facility that her dad infiltrated.
He may have.
I don't know how much he worked with SHIELD,
I don't know his exact backstory, so
but
maybe if I went back and watched Hulk.
yeah, they were part of a Russian sleeper cell. These terrorists well, not necessarily terrorists, spies, I guess, who are in deep cover, posing as typical American families, so they can get whatever secrets or intelligence. In this case, it was mind control stuff that S.H.I.E.L.D. actually technically Hydra was working on in the guise of S.H.I.E.L.D., which again, was Hydra really already infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. in 95? Doesn't that seem a bit early?
To some degree, it feels like it, but at the same time, it sounds accurate.
I don't know. I know they talked about the Winter Soldier program, but I thought the Winter Soldier program was separate from any infiltration they had done.
Honestly, I don't know about that. They mentioned the Winter Soldier program, and I was just sitting there like, what?
And yeah, it would have been going on at that time, but that should have been. They said it was a S.H.I.E.L.D. facility. Well, actually, a Hydra facility, so it made it sound like it was Hydra had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Although maybe I don't know.
It's tough.
Maybe there was just some confusion in the way it was presented.
Maybe it's at that one facility at that point.
I also wonder.
It was the early days of the
Again, the idea of like a Russian sleeper cell, that seems more like something from the 80s or from more modern times. 95, was that a big issue then? I was around then, but it wasn't necessarily on my radar.
Around.
But that's whatever. I can accept that. What I don't buy is Natasha having blue hair.
Yeah.
Nobody had fucking blue hair in 95 just on an average day. It wasn't Halloween or anything.
Yeah. See, I just sat there and I was like, wait, that was supposed to be Natasha?
I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a dude.
I wasn't sure.
I thought maybe.
I wasn't sure.
So maybe I thought it was maybe gonna be and also I thought Natasha grew up in Russia, so
Same.
I thought maybe
shocked.
it was going to be Baby Taskmaster or something. So we were going to start to get his origin story.
I was just sitting there like, what is happening here?
Spoilers, Taskmaster's not a he. I realized that. But going into the beginning of the movie, I didn't.
Yeah.
So.
I thought maybe they were just setting something up for the dude. What was his name? Red Guardian, I know.
Yeah, Alexi was his name.
Yeah, Alexi. I just thought it was just giving us a little backstory with him.
I didn't think it had anything to do with him until I actually saw him come into the scene.
Well, yeah.
It starts out focusing on the two kids, and then you see...
At that point, I'm sitting there like, I don't know who these kids are. Is something bad going to happen to them?
Interesting thing about Alexi is actually Black Widow's husband in the comics.
Oh, dear God.
Well, I mean, there's nothing incestuous about it. It's just a different backstory.
Yes, I know. I'm just sitting here like...
And apparently he's currently boning.
Nice.
But then once I saw David Harbour come in, I said, okay, there he is. And then I started to realize maybe more this is Natasha's family. I don't think they'd actually said her name yet.
Yeah, eventually they do, and clearly at that point, I'm like, what? But also at that point, I think Johnny had been running by or something, so I was like, wait a second, did I miss something?
But at the same time, too, considering the way his character is presented throughout most of the film as sort of a buffoon,
Yes.
I don't buy that he's going to be the kind of spy they put in to go deep undercover and infiltrate a science lab. I don't know, maybe prison changed him.
I was going to say, maybe
super
things were
soldier serums.
different.
Maybe he got a bad super soldier serum and it's fucked with his brain or something. But I can't reconcile those two characters.
I think as he got older.
Yeah, I think something went downhill later.
He's not that much older.
I mean, it's what, 20-something?
Yeah.
What year is it in this movie?
He's been in prison for like 20
2016.
years.
Exactly.
It's like 20 years.
It's 21 years. I mean...
It's 21 years.
And he's already in like 20.
The movie literally said that. Why did I have to ask?
And of course we
He's been in
learned...
prison for like 20 years.
I don't know about that.
We learned that, yes, he's a super soldier.
Yeah.
At least some type of super soldier. And we knew there were super soldier serums out there besides the one for Cap. We know that they're the ones the U.S. government was using to experiment on people like Isaiah.
Yep.
And we know Hydra got some for the Winter Soldier program.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Red Skull had an early version of it. So that's not any real surprise. It does surprise me, though. I know he wound up in prison in Russia, and they don't really go into details about it. They just say that he got double-crossed by Draco.
Yes.
Yeah.
Draco or Dreykov? Thank you.
Dreykov.
He was Winstone's character, who's the main villain in this. He's the one who ran the Red Room, the program that Natasha went through to become an assassin.
Red Room. There was also an Agent Carter. That was one of the Red Room goals in there, a Russian spy.
But I don't remember where I was going. I was gonna say he says that he got double crossed by Dreykov and put in prison. One thing, I don't know why he never escaped before if he's a fucking super soldier. It seems like a regular prison wouldn't hold him that easily. Two, it seems like, how do we never hear about him beforehand?
Yeah.
Not us personally, but how did he never? We don't really have any. We have Captain Marvel's brief visit. We have Captain America in the 40s. And Captain Marvel's brief visit in the 90s, which actually would have taken place around the time this movie started.
Yeah.
So I was thinking
we were
about
too
that too,
distracted by Captain Marvel.
That Captain Marvel would have been like 94, 95 as well.
Coulson.
But, Hal Coulson could have been one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that were chasing the...
I know, I was just they're like, can somebody show me Clark Gregg, please?
But regardless of that, and then there's like no other quote superheroes until Iron Man comes on the scene in 2008.
Yeah.
So it seems like a fucking Russian super soldier. They would have used him to gain some ground in the intervening years.
Yeah.
Did he get locked up pretty much right away, or I mean, what?
It felt like maybe
He
there
had
was
a
some
toy.
I know they have the
time.
widows, but apparently they're taking their sweet time deploying them.
He even had an
Exactly.
action figure.
That's why it feels like there was some time of him doing something.
Yeah, he had a costume that used to fit that doesn't fit now. He's put on some weight.
Yeah,
And he had
so-
an action figure.
So I have
Well, what was he doing? Where was he? And how did they not?
maybe it
how
just
did,
wasn't a
they
big
not
scale
use him
thing.
to? I don't know. That seems that's one of the things that rings a little false to me. Is like, okay, they had this guy, but he didn't really.
See,
do
that's
anything.
the joys now that the MCU is getting bigger. We just have to sit here like,
Well, I accept
Like-
that there are things going on in the larger MCU that maybe we don't hear about during the specific movie. So it's not like, oh, that happened in the same year as New York. Well, that can't be possible. They would have mentioned. No, I get that, but it seems like a super soldier in the hands of a foreign power, somebody who's
Uh-huh.
been antagonistic toward the United States at least at certain times, and certainly had other enemies out there. It seems like it would have been a bigger story, and they would have, been on the scene more. It's hard to believe that they were just covered up this whole time, and apparently not that covered up because some people knew about them.
yeah.
But maybe he
It's-
only operated within the country at that point once he finished his spy mission.
Yeah. It's interesting to think. But, might see more. Might get more on him.
And of
Eventually.
course, early on they make their escape, and this is one of the things that was really clunky to me. They're leaving, and they know the authorities are onto them, and they're driving down the road, and there's like a police roadblock down there, and they just go around it or whatever. It's like, how do they not get stopped there? They didn't even have to try to get through. They're just like, no, we'll just turn.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, those cops are doing a real good job. And then
They're also
they have
spies.
kind of a dramatic
Right.
over-the-top scene where Shield's chasing them. They're in the plane, and he's hanging on the
Oh
wing
my
of the plane,
gosh.
shooting at him, and Mom gets shot and injured, and
Yeah.
young Natasha and Yelena are in
Getting
the plane
shot
with
at.
them. But that scene was fine. That's what I expected for this movie.
Shield almost shot a kid.
The end of what I expected.
Wouldn't
for
be
this
the first
movie.
time, I bet.
The upper limits of what I expected for this movie. That okay, it was fine. It was a little silly, a little over the top, but it's fine. And then they end up in Cuba as a way station to get back to the Soviet Union, and that's when Yelena and Natasha get drugged and taken to be part of the Widow program.
Yep.
And
Part of
this is
the
about
Red Room.
the extent of the backstory we get. We see her time in Ohio, which I'll talk about in a minute, and we it's just a montage basically to a really weird cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
So we see
I
a little
kinda
bit,
liked
a little
it.
bit more of their indoctrination and whatnot. But that's about it as far as any real backstory we get from Natasha on top of
Yeah.
what we're- and we get maybe little bits and pieces here and there, but there was one point when David Harbour or whoever's playing young Natasha says to David Harbour that she doesn't want to go back there, she wants to go back to Ohio. That's what makes me think she's actually from Russia originally.
Yeah.
And she makes some comment about her sister being younger and not so. Maybe they both came from Russia and came to the U.S.
Yeah, very possibly. But it is clear that
They said they were
Yelena
only-
sees that as home.
They said they were only there for 3 years,
Yeah.
so like 92 to 95. But
Yeah.
Natasha seemed, I don't know. Some of it just doesn't seem to really line
Yelena
up
was
to
supposed
me.
to be like 6, wasn't she?
Maybe,
Something
Something
like
like
that.
that.
but I don't know. Just something about it just didn't quite line up to me.
Oh no, I haven't given time that much thought yet. I'm still processing the fact that there were a few years when Natasha was living in Ohio, because I didn't expect that in her backstory.
Yeah, I mean it's not that relevant.
No, it's not really relevant. It's
Oh
just
my
not
god,
right.
she's in Ohio. That changes everything.
Yup. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. She could beat Thanos.
Totally.
All because she was in Ohio. That's what Thanos to speak to. People who have been in Ohio.
So Natasha and Bruce Banner. They
No,
can
not
defeat
Bruce
Thanos.
Banner. He doesn't count.
Oh wow.
The gamma radiation will move to his Ohio-ness.
We also got a cute little scene as they're fleeing, and Yelena wants her song to be played, so they pop in the tape, and it's Don McLean's American Pie, which I guess is like, oh, they're Russian spies, but she likes the song about America, which is not really about America, but it's
Yeah.
called American Pie.
I was personally shoving popcorn in my mouth as to not sing along.
And then that comes back later when
There's a
David
moment.
Harbour, Alexi's trying to relate to Yelena, and he badly sings that song.
Very badly.
And he doesn't even really sing it, he more like speaks it.
Yeah.
But it's cute. But this is what I'm saying too, is like we have this really dark beginning with this Russian sleeper cell and these girls being torn from their family and indoctrinated into the widow program, and then we have these jokey moments that it doesn't feel. I think they should have gone with like a darker tone throughout the movie.
That would have been interesting coming from Marvel.
Well, it doesn't mean you can't have a joke here or there or some lightness, but I mean Winter Soldier was pretty dark.
True.
So I kind of expected like Winter Soldier redo. Like I mean I know they kind of went over the top, and Winter Soldier's the one where Cap's grabbing the helicopter, right?
Yes.
I mean I didn't expect anybody to grab a helicopter, although I guess Alexi could have done it. But I'm just saying, I expected a little bit more of a Winter Soldier vibe from this, and I didn't quite get. Like I say, it felt like all over the map to me, and then you have I don't know. I'm not really going through the movie chronologically. That wasn't my intent anyway. But when we're reintroduced to Yelena as an adult widow, and other widows are hunting down this person, and the girl throws some stuff in her face, and then, as it turns out, this is like an agent to counteract brain control.
Yeah.
Like apparently Natasha was, psychologically controlled.
Yeah, that confused me.
But the later widows were actually chemically controlled.
That part actually confused me, because she doesn't seem that much older than Yelena.
Well, maybe to add it on later.
I just sat there like, were they really... I mean, they went to the bedroom about the same time. Were they really put it through two completely different things?
But my whole thing is, I mean, go ahead.
Well, I was saying, maybe Black Widow escaped, then after that they put the mind control on everyone, including the older ones.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I mean, apparently that's the technology that Alexei got from S.H.I.E.L.D. was the basis for the mind control.
Yeah.
But regardless...
What was S.H.I.E.L.D. doing?
I mean,
spy shit. Anyway. But yeah, so the other widows are on this mission, and then the girl, like, shoots stuff in her face, and we don't know... I thought maybe it was going to give her superpowers or something, to be honest with you.
Yeah. At
But
first
then it's just like, all of a sudden, she's just clear from the mind control, and then she wants to... Oh, no! What's wrong? And then she's off, and she's a good guy now, so to speak. It came out of nowhere. Like,
redemption
we didn't get any. I didn't really understand. Okay, they could have established that she was under the control, and that's what they were chasing. Exactly. Some of the pacing issues we've seen with the Marvel TV shows, especially Falcon and Winter Soldier, which at least had the excuse of some things having to be rewritten because of conditions. This was just that felt really clunky.
I assume they put this out just as they intended.
It took a while for them to. So yeah, it's like I pretty much grasped what was going on, but at the same time, it wasn't set up or executed very well.
Yeah.
But then we get her in her right mind, and so she and Natasha can team up, and it turns out that even though we find out a little more about Budapest, and there's this bit between Natasha and her contact who could like get her things.
Yeah.
And him.
Who was he?
Mason.
Some dude.
I mean, he was cool, and like if we see him again, that's cool. But
he came from nowhere, and I was just sitting here like, "Who are you?"
And it's like at the end of the movie, he gets Quinjet.
Exactly, and I'm just sitting here like, "Who are you?" No,
look, if he has time and money, he can get some good shit.
I just want to say, they just missed an opportunity by removing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like if they would have kept that, they could have tossed one of them in right there.
It's a Coulson.
Right. It's a buddy of Coulson. Coulson Cinema.
So at the end of the movie, he takes off the mask. It's Coulson. It sounds like
I'm just curious. We don't really have any idea where Nick Fury came down during Civil War, do we? Because he was technically in hiding at that point after Winter Soldier, after he faked his death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see him in Age of Ultron.
I know he showed up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, but at what point?
I don't remember. I just know they believed him dead, and then he showed up to save Fitzsimmons.
Then again, we see him at the very end of Infinity War, after the snap, but we don't even really know what he and Hill were doing.
Driving. Going to McDonald's.
I have no idea.
And then at least what's the Skrull's name? Is it Talos?
Yes, I think.
Apparently was posing as him during Spider-Man, so he's kind of back on the job. But now I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing or where he fell along the lines in Civil War.
Yeah,
that was just an aside. 'Cause you were talking about
Nick Fury.
S.H.I.E.L.D. helping her out.
Yeah.
But regardless, of course, this was weird too because Yelena gets the mind control antidote.
Yes.
And she apparently goes to the safe house in Budapest. That's what I was getting to. There's a little bit of byplay between Natasha and her contact about how to say Budapest, whether it's Budapest or Budapest or Budapest. I don't know what that was all about.
Me neither.
Is that actually really pronounced Budapest and they just messed it up in the earlier movies? Or is that what that was about?
I don't know.
I don't know. It seemed weird to me and not funny.
Yeah, it was to me. I just sat there like, what?
Here's the deal. He set her up a safe house in Finland.
Wait, was it Finland?
I thought it was Finland.
I thought it was Norway.
Maybe it was Norway. It was somewhere in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Regardless, he's got her this trailer out there, and she notices.
I think it's Norway.
She notices a box of stuff, and
Yes.
he's like, "Oh, that's from the Budapest safe house," and that's when we get that little byplay.
Yeah.
And that apparently has the antidote in it.
Yeah.
And that's what caused the Taskmaster to initially come after Natasha, is trying to get that, which I don't know how they were able to track that to her, but that's another thing that the movie never really makes clear. And then she ends up in Budapest, finds her sister there, and they fight with each other, which seemed kind of out of character. I guess neither one knew if they could trust the other one, but couldn't they just say, "Hey, can I trust you?" Or
I don't know.
they had this fight to the death with knives. And stuff.
I enjoyed watching it.
Always ask
But it just
people
didn't
you
make
don't.
sense, is all I'm saying. It's another thing about
I know,
the movie. It's
but
like,
both trained assassins.
I'm fine to have, and if they were just sparring with each other, but they're really just going to try to kill each other, and then they both get each other in the chokehold, and it's okay, truce.
They get close. They're not aiming to kill.
How did they stop? How did they all of a sudden know they could trust each other? Because they almost killed each other? But
It's called truce.
Regardless, she ends up there, and Yelena's like, "You brought it back?" And she's like, "I sent it to you." And how did she send it to her exactly? I thought the guy just picked it up for the heck of it, or was she just using him as an intermediary?
Very possible.
This is another one of those.
Or that he was picking this stuff up but she managed to.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And it's just little things, don't get me wrong, but anyway, we're in Budapest. We get to find out a little more about what went on. And there's a nice moment there where Yelena's like, "What kind of bullets make these marks?" She's like, "Not bullets, arrows." So, oh, Hawkeye.
Oh.
I'm probably the one who said that because apparently nobody else really likes Hawkeye. But
I like Hawkeye.
I like Hawkeye. He's fine.
we find out that they were in Budapest they were trying to assassinate Dreykov.
And they thought they
who's the man
succeeded.
behind the red room. Which again, we even see a flashback where they blew up the building he was in, and they established that he was in the building. So there's no explanation of how he escaped.
Nope.
And they blow up a child.
Yeah, his daughter.
Not the
But
first
she even
one to
doesn't.
die.
She apparently doesn't even
She'll
die
die.
from the explosion, as we find out later. And again, no explanation of how she didn't die.
Yeah.
We need more of these characters.
But the point is, the main point is, that's what Budapest was about. And it took them like 11 days to get out of the city, and they were facing down an army of military police or whatever. And there's a point they had to hide in an air duct for like 3 days.
And play tic-tac-toe.
Because she and Elaine are hiding in the same air duct, and they see the detritus and the marks on the wall from them doing stuff. And so, but again, that's basically the extent of the backstory of Budapest.
But I did really like that because since it's been referenced so many times, I was sitting here like, what happened in Budapest?
Let's see a whole flashback and just actually see the whole.
Just give me a movie of Budapest.
It doesn't have to be a whole.
Give me a
movie.
6-episode series.
For as little as they did in this movie, they could have put that in.
But also, that means Hawkeye and Black Widow pretty much did nothing in Budapest. Since they
No, they did stuff and it was pointless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, as they find out, that Dreykov didn't die, but they thought they did. They thought they accomplished.
Yeah, they thought they
But
had.
they didn't.
But in
It's
the
reality,
thought that
Black Widow's
He's still
back.
running the Red Room
Okay, as long as
program
you
and
think
has it,
killed the crime
bigger
boss.
and badder than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they realize so now that becomes the main mission for the movie. It's not about preserving and replicating this brain control antidote.
Yeah.
They've got to take down the Red Room, and so they go recruit Alexei, their erstwhile father, who for a little while in the movie too, I was like, well, in Endgame Natasha said she didn't know her father, but then they established that he wasn't her father, and that Yelena's not even really her sister.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was a little lame. They could have at least really been related, and maybe she was just from a past marriage or whatever. That little stuff. It turns out none of these people are related. I don't know if Alexei and Melina were ever even married, and they play on that a little bit. They get a family reunion, and it's like, it was real to me, even though earlier it didn't seem like she cared that much about it. Although she did reference Natasha's a sister, and Natasha was like, "You're not my sister.
Yeah.
You're not really my sister." So maybe she did feel that way all along. And then that's, again, it seems like the movie's trying to, really, it's a story about what family means and how family is what you make it.
Christmas.
Right. So
and I don't have a problem with that because sort of a message as an undercurrent to the movie. I just don't think it worked with the tenor of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
But
so they broke him out of jail.
So they went to get him, and this is one of the scenes that I hated. I didn't mind the prison stuff, and I didn't mind, but I just thought the prison escape was a little over the top, stupid.
A little bit, yeah.
And
it's like it was going
he's
okay.
He's a super soldier, but he doesn't do much of the
okay.
super soldiering. It's Natasha and Yelena pull off most of it, and I get they're highly trained, highly skilled soldier assassins, that's fine. But I just thought it was too over the top. It was something that should have been in a Captain America movie, not a Black Widow movie. Even though I did reference Captain America, Winter Soldier, but again, I also allowed for him holding a helicopter. I didn't expect to see Natasha doing that. So all I'm saying is, that was the first thing that was like, it's a little too big and too loud, but whatever, they get him.
And then we got one scene there that I both loved and felt like, what?
Go ahead then.
The scene where they're talking to him about the Red Room and whatnot.
When he makes a joke about Yelena being that time.
Yeah.
And they're going into detail about
Yeah.
I don't have
It's like, well, that's not what I expected in a Marvel movie. I like
we
it.
knew that. Black Widow's referenced that before.
Well, yeah, we knew that part.
It did seem a little weird. And he's like, don't get so clinical. And they're not really being that clinical. They're being kind of vulgar about it, really. But
it's like, yeah, because we've seen flashbacks to all that and to even them taking her for that.
And then they cut to, and then they're like, we need to go to St. Petersburg. Like, we don't have enough gas for that. We will make it. And the next scene, their helicopter drops out of the sky.
Yeah.
Which, like, okay, maybe I could have bought that. Maybe that's the place they could have put some humor in.
Yeah.
But going back to, we need to get back to some stuff with Yelena and Natasha.
She got a vest.
I feel that though. I love vests, especially ones with a lot of pockets.
I love those moments for some reason. Like, they didn't exactly feel right,
This
but
is the first piece of clothing I've ever bought for
good.
myself, and Natasha like picks on her, but she's like, it's got a lot of pockets.
Yeah, she's just like so excited and hype about that. Like, oh, the
And
pockets are
Natasha's
so
like,
cool.
yeah, it is cool. Right, that's very cool.
Yeah.
She gives it to her, and it's the best we saw in Endgame, which
It
is
felt weird,
the
but
only
also
other
so
touchstone from this movie to the other movies.
Yeah.
But again, you'd think maybe she was wearing Endgame because her sister died, and she
I thought that was gonna be more meaning
And I'm fine that the character didn't die too, because I like the character and I like what's her name, Frances Pugh, Florence Pugh. I like her portrayal of her, so I'm happy to see her again. But it's just still like have some kind of way. And I just here we're splitting up now. Take my vest because you know it's really cool.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like,
I'll buy in the.
I'm glad we're seeing her more, but they even like kind of set it up where Natasha could have easily found her dead and taken the vest, and it's like, no, she just handed it over, and it's like, but she loved that
Natasha finds
vest.
her. She takes it. Wait, I'm still alive. No, you're not. I need the vest.
Oh no!
She
No, you're
almost died
delirious. You
about
can't make it.
7.5
No, I'm just
times.
fine. Just lift the thing off me. No, I just have to take your vest so I can always remember you. But you could have me. No.
She almost died like 7.5 times.
Welcome to the Red Room. You almost died 7.5 times, but now you're good.
But anyway,
That would have been the
they hook back up with Dad, Alexi, and they go find Melina, Mom Melina, Rachel Weisz's character, who's still doing mind control research on pigs, which seemed really sort of pedestrian compared to the stuff they're doing up at the Red Room. Like, this is what their top scientist is doing, is playing with pigs. Like, shouldn't this have been the stuff she was doing 10 years ago or 20 years ago before they got to the point they're at now? But
Probably.
whatever. And apparently we find out that she was a widow too, and she's under their control, and that she alerted the Red Room about it. But before we get to that, this is when we have that sort of family bonding. The scene you see him around the table, and when he comes out with his Red Guardian outfit, and he and Melina are kind of flirting with each other a little bit, and the girl's like, ooh, and so we have this neat family. And again, I don't mind that, and I think they could have worked it into the movie somewhere, but just the movie being what it is, I mean, that scene didn't really bother me.
Yeah, that scene is fine.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were playing more into the, hey, it's about family, but then there's so many other scenes that have nothing to do with that. So I could take that scene or leave it. It was fine, but it also didn't it sealed the movie for me.
There's a advanced Spy Kids movie.
Spy Kids grown up.
But then we find out again, Melina's alerted the Red. I don't know what to call Dreykov's army. The Red Room, Dreykov and his boys. She says I've alerted the Red Room, and they come for them, and Alexi and Yelena find Natasha knocked out, and then Melina's got her Black Widow gear on, and she zaps them and knocks them out.
She didn't have to. It was only Elena that she zaps.
Oh yeah, because
Alexi has been shot by the Red Room.
Yeah, and that was another scene too, where like he comes out and they shoot him with a dart. It's like, you think that's gonna stop me? And then like 16 more darts hit him, and it's like,
Yes.
Again, if it had been a lighter movie, maybe, but that seemed. It didn't work. That part didn't work for me. That's one of those moments where the humor didn't
That's
work
why
for
he'll
me.
never be as good as Cap. He didn't have a shield.
But anyway, they end up going to the Red Room, and we find out that it's a cloaked helicarrier type thing up in the clouds.
Very
That's why nobody
interesting.
could ever find it.
Found that very interesting, personally.
It just seemed derivative of the helicarrier to me. Like,
Yeah.
So that cloud moves, someone looks up, huh?
Right.
somebody's a real fan of Empire Strikes Back. It's like, we have our own Cloud City. Anyway.
Oh gosh, how far back does the bedroom date? I just realized.
At least to 95. Well,
Yeah.
no more than that if Molina went through it, so at least 85.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know,
That's
because
just
I
a
have
stab
to
in the
assume
dark.
Agent Carter isn't canon. If it was, then it would have gone back to 30s.
Well, it could still go back that far, but anyway.
Well, yeah, it
Agent
could
Carter's not in the 30s, is it?
It's in the 40s, but the woman is a grown adult, so I'd assume she would have gone through as a kid and whatnot.
Alright, well, regardless, they're up at the place, and they have Natasha and Alexei in cells that Alexei can't break out of, and they have Elena strapped down where they're going to cut out her brain,
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
she's conscious for it, and she makes the comment, this is a much less cool way to die, because earlier when they sparked the avalanche at the prison, she's like, this would be a cool way to die. Which also makes me think, like, did they just condemn all those prisoners and guards to dying
Oh,
when they
gosh.
caused the avalanche at the prison?
Yeah, they really did.
Well, I don't know. If they got inside, they might be okay.
Maybe.
Maybe.
To be honest, no, but
Because I'm just going to say, I apologize for constantly referring back to something that's not canon anymore. But that scene when they've got Yelena conscious and is going to do the stuff on her head and whatnot, and
Coulson.
specifically say to keep her conscious while cutting open her
Coulson.
head. Yeah, all I could think was Tahiti and Coulson and the scenes of him screaming to let him die. And I was just sitting here like, oh gosh.
But we've also got Melina conferring with Dreykov while Taskmaster looks on.
Yes,
Taskmaster, we've only seen, what, twice in the movie so far?
something like that.
When they first came after Natasha, and then when they came after Natasha and Yelena.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that-
so.
But, let me dial back that real quick. That car chase, I thought that was really cool when they were running from
Yes.
Taskmaster and the Widows, and that one move where Yelena hit the emergency brake or whatever she did to spin the car around and kicked open the door so it would get knocked off by the pylon and shoot out and take the
Yeah.
wood. That was a badass move, and
I
and I'm
agree.
fine for these over the top action scenes. I never thought they shouldn't be there, but like the prison break scene and then the scene at the end with the red room that we're leading up to, I just thought were ridiculously over the top.
Definitely the red room one.
And and it's just like, I don't know. I thought we'd get just a little scaled back for this movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, and it turns out that even though Melina sold them out to a degree, she didn't completely. She let Natasha know certain things, and they switched places, and they had those really lifelike masks that we've seen in the MCU, so I can totally buy that. It's fine. That's not out of canon. We've seen these, we saw it in Go ahead.
I also saw them in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, but we've seen them,
Yes, I
we've seen
know.
them in the MCU period, and we've seen them in things that are still considered canon because Natasha
Right.
used one in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But it turns out that's Natasha, and so it's Natasha and Dreykov in the room, and they've also Melina's. She can break out of the prison cells because she designed them, so she gets her and Alexei out, and they've slipped a knife. They had previously slipped a knife to Yelena, and they gave her an earpiece, so she was able to free herself.
Yep.
And it was up to her to go after the widows while Melina tried to take the Red Room down, and Alexei had to deal with Taskmaster.
Yeah.
So that's the little fight you got from them. What you got from them in the trailer was pretty much all you got from them in the movie.
Yeah, it was shocking. We did not get nearly as much Taskmaster as I
So
would
Dreykov has
thought.
sent Taskmaster off, leaving him alone with Natasha, but Natasha can't kill him because he's got this pheromone blocker where if any of the widows smell his pheromones, which
That's
is kind of
something.
gross.
That's something that just kind of bugged me
Why?
in this movie. I don't know why, but it's like that was mentioned. I'm like,
But
I'm
as
not here
it
for
turns out, Melina had let Natasha know that she has to sever her olfactory nerve so she can't smell her at all, and so she tricks him in. She does that little ploy which we've seen her do before, where she's like, "Thank you for giving me the information," like she did with Loki and with the general being of Avengers. She's just getting information out of him, and she tricks him into beating her up a little bit, hoping he'll do the job. But he didn't quite put off. So she has to like break her own nose.
Yeah.
But even then, she doesn't kill him right away. She tries to go after the pad, and then the widows come in, and it takes a little while to get to him. And that leads to like this brutal beatdown for the other widows to Natasha.
Oh yeah.
And at first, it looked like Natasha was going to beat him on. Like, come on! Even if she's the best of them, there's still way more of them than her.
Yeah.
Eventually, the numbers are going to win out, and eventually they did. Of course, she gets away, but
Of
because
course.
Yelena comes in with she ties the antidote around the bomb and explodes it above them all, and it rains down and fortunately hit every one of them and hit them enough to snap him out of it.
Matt says it didn't hit one.
Right. I mean, you would have had all of those against her, and you would have had Black
I know.
Widow,
It'll be fine.
Natasha, whatever. I think they would have managed.
It'll be fine.
But of course, we get before that, we got the reveal that Taskmaster is actually Dreykov's daughter.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, look, initially it looked like Taskmaster was just going to be some sort of android or AI.
I thought so too.
And being a cyborg is at least better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, I wasn't crazy about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taskmaster kind of lame in this movie.
It would have been fine if they had been like the best of the widows and if they'd been Dreykov's daughter or something. But the fact that they were like a cyborg and it's just like, oh, it's my daughter that you almost killed, but somehow she survived even though we don't explain it. I don't know. It didn't work that well for me.
Yeah. I feel as though they could have done
And then by the
better.
end of it, they've taken her mind control away too, even though technically she still got... He said he had to put a chip in her brain. Didn't really explain what the chip did. Apparently it wasn't the mind control since the antidote cured her.
Yeah.
Or seemingly did when she and the rest of the widows are getting away. So I don't know if we're ever going to see any more from Taskmaster or not.
I kinda
Taskmaster
hope
seemed like they were going to be cool, but they were really underwhelming in this movie.
I agree.
They weren't nearly as interesting as I thought they were going to be. And like I say, at least when it first like they were just going to be some kind of an android or an AI, I was like, oh, that's lame. And then the reveal was like, oh, they're not. And it's like, okay, and well, I mean, I guess, but I don't know. If it had just been Dreykov's daughter and she had just been the best of the widows, and now I would have liked that, but I didn't like the whole cyborg aspect of it. That just felt underwhelming to me.
Yeah. But
from there, they do manage to bring the Red Room. In fact, Melina brings the Red Room down by like blasting part of the engines or blasting something from the ceiling
she was going to sacrifice
crash.
herself.
No, she doesn't. She makes it out. She and
they all do.
They refer to him as Crimson Dynamo, which I thought was funny because that is a Marvel character too.
Nice.
But the Red Guardian, they get out and they and Yelena stops Dreykov. He and his soldiers are on a little helicopter thing, and she jams the staff into the engine, causes it to blow up. It blows her back, and she's falling.
Once again, you think she's going to sacrifice herself? No.
But then again, are we sure Dreykov's dead? I mean, probably, but he survived.
One explosion didn't stop him. What do you think that was?
Exactly. It's like they show the fire and all that, but it's like, well, they showed it last time.
But I mean, I'm just saying, how did they?
They showed the entire building.
And then Natasha grabs the parachute, and
Exactly.
she dives off the thing to catch up with her sister, and they put the parachute on, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, she puts it on Yelena.
See, I also thought that was going to be a moment too where Natasha actually did die here, and it turns out Yelena was Natasha later on, but they both survive after a quick run with Taskmaster.
Yeah, it's like while they're falling down, though, Natasha kind of goes for Taskmaster. And there's like these moments on like the debris and stuff, and I was sitting there like, what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This scene was it was ridiculously over the top.
Yeah, it's like especially that is what put it over the top.
That stuff's a little ridiculously over the top in a Thor movie, but in this movie where we have just regular people for the most, I mean, I understand they're highly trained and whatnot.
But being highly trained doesn't mean you do that.
So you thought we'd have over the top action scenes like we got in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and like we have in other movies, but
yeah,
that scene in particular was just way too loud, way too preposterous.
I entirely agree with that.
But they get away in the end, and I guess the widows go off in one place, and Yelena goes off with the Guardian, and I don't know where they all go because like the widows have a plane and they're taking. I guess they're all going all the.
Yeah, because the widows are going, but then Melina and Red Guardian seem to be going with them.
They're all going off separately together, whatever. And meanwhile, Ross and his people have found them.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck they managed to do that. They couldn't find the Red Room. They couldn't find Natasha for half this movie, and then they just found them.
Yeah.
And Natasha's just like, I'm not gonna go off with my family or the widows and get away. I'm just gonna stand here and face Ross.
Pretty
and then
much.
we cut it 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
No explanation how she got away from Ross or what happened or what kind of agreement they came to or how. Because early on in the movie, we start with her running from Ross.
Yep. After
she, stopped T'Challa from getting Steve and Bucky at the end of Civil War.
Yeah.
Or in the airport scenes of war, because they reference how she attacked the King of Wakanda and now she's a fugitive.
And she says she's done with it or whatever, and then she manages to get it.
But the second confrontation, and this is after Yelena's given her vest too, for the record. It's like, you want it. Yeah, it's cute, it's fine. That part didn't bother me.
I like the little detail
it's just like if you're gonna set up and this is her
vest.
I don't know.
It does feel like they should have given it a little
more gravitas.
Yeah,
To
but
her having the vest.
yeah, but at the same time, I do just in general like.
And
the
hey,
cute
I
detail.
appreciate a vest too, especially one with a lot of pockets. But regardless, we have no idea what went down with Ross. That was just, I don't even understand that. What was the point of that?
I don't
At
know.
all? Does that touch on anything we've seen in any of the other movies?
Not that I can
at all?
specifically remember.
Because I mean, this movie, even 2 weeks later, she's got her blonde hair, now she's got her sister's vest. Somehow her friend Macy's managed to get a fucking Quinjet, and she's gonna go break her friends out of jail, which is, you know, the scene we see at the end of Civil War where Steve shows up to get them off the raft.
Yeah.
So that's great, but it's just like, why even have Ross in the game? She could have just.
I don't.
She didn't have
She
to
could have
roll.
just gone
She
back.
could have just been like, I got my own stuff I got to do. Peace out. I'm gonna see y'all later.
Exactly.
So I don't understand the.
So I'm just sitting here like,
Ross and his.
what you doing?
Ross was so important that I forgot he even was in this.
Send a
movie.
text
Unless
to
again,
Ross,
of course,
like,
Ross is connected to
WID.
Valentina, and we're gonna get the Thunderbolts or something later on, and somehow that's gonna tie in. But I don't,
Who knows
I don't see
yet?
how. If you just wanted to remind people of Ross, having him early on in the movie should have been enough.
Exactly.
And then, of course, post-credit scene from there, which was what it was.
Yeah. It's like I'm kind of excited because it's the only thing that moves it forward, you know, and it potentially sets up with the Hawkeye series.
Like I said, I don't like what. And again, we have no idea where it's going with, but I don't.
That's
like,
the thing.
I don't like the inference that Yelena's switched sides again.
Yeah,
I think she'd be fighting for the same side as Nat at this point. And again,
I agree.
Nat just died. Well, we don't know how long after Endgame that scene is. But
Yeah.
we doubt it's that long because all the series we've got have taken place basically right afterwards.
Yeah, within a year afterwards.
Again, we'll see where it all leads. That's a lot of what I'm getting from Marvel right now is just wait for the next one. You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of getting frustrating at this point. I kind of really want to just enjoy one for what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
But as far as the end credit goes, it is kind of just, we have to wait and see what exactly it takes us to.
Yeah.
so again, not a bad movie by any means. It's not Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But it's not Endgame either.
Exactly.
You know?
It's just somewhere in the middle.
It is what it is.
At least for now.
Lower middle too, even. It's not.
I agree.
It's worth seeing, but you're not gonna miss anything either, really.
Yeah, at this
If
point.
if you don't check it out, you know, if you got nothing better to do, you just have that Marvel Jones, you just want to see it and want to enjoy a nice, fun action movie, you know, it's worth your time. But again, you could skip it too and not really lose out on anything in the larger MCU.
Yeah.
You guys want to give it a rating?
6.
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere around the 6 or 7 area.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 1 powdered sugar donut out of 10. I mean, you eat a powdered sugar donut, it tastes really good, but you probably shouldn't be eating. It's probably just too much calories, too much junk food for you. But at the same time, there's not really many nutrients there either, and you're just gonna want more afterwards. So to me, 1 single powdered sugar donut is both at the same time not enough and too much, and that's what this movie was.
Nice.
All right, then. Well, thanks for joining us for our recap of Black Widow. If you're checking out a couple weeks later, I understand, of course, because the movie is pretty fresh. But as of the time this episode goes up, next week I think we're going to dive back into the world of Potter.
Ooh, yay.
And then 2 weeks from now, we're going to be looking at Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Yes.
And of course, we've got our final Loki review coming up this Wednesday, Thursday, whenever we get it up. The show
Talk
drops
about
on
Marvel
Wednesday.
that I'm excited for.
So that's something to look forward to.
Excited for that.
And looking forward on the Marvel
Still
calendar, of course,
shaking.
we've got Shang-Chi coming up in September, so
Yep.
that
Yeah.
should be interesting.
We've still got 3 more Marvel movies coming this year, don't we?
Yep.
And we've got What If
Shang-Chi,
coming soon.
Eternals, and Spider-Man. And Spider-Man and Eternals especially are going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm
Shang-Chi,
very
I'm sure will be too.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know where it ties into the. I don't know where Eternals is either, but obviously them being such a huge cosmic force, they're bringing them. in for
I'm
some
looking
ways.
forward to all of it.
Yeah, they all look really good. Well, we haven't really seen anything from Spider-Man yet, but
It's Spider-Man.
Uh,
That's all I needed.
the setup from the previous one and the rumors we've been hearing seems like it's going to be something pretty special.
Oh, yeah.
I'm into this Spider-Man.
So lots to look forward to from Marvel. I just wish I could say more about what we've gotten already.
Yeah.
Like, we got a lot of stuff, but it's just
We've got a bunch of setups since after Endgame. It's kind of like a reboot. So we've got a lot
Yeah,
of
we're
setup.
kind of in the soft reboot phase, so it's a bunch of setup for now.
Yeah.
Alright, well on that note, don't forget to come back next week when the conversation will continue. But until then, Emma will continue to be Maddie.
Lexi.
Dylan.
And this is LexiCon concluded.
Bye.
Bye.